Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMorty, and I'm still a medical doctor simultaneously trying to pursue a career in acting. My guest this week is kindred spirit fellow acting podcast host, Alison Mullings. Oh my goodness. Again, I'll say it again. Kindred spirit. She hosts Creative Full Time, which is a fantastic podcast. Everyone go listen. And watch, honestly. I'll put a link in the show notes below. It is all about people who are in the creative industry. She has a very Canadian-focused, hell yeah, to her guests, people who are in the industry and working creatively full time. And we go into detail what that definition means to her. She has a wonderful story. She's a first act actor. She went to theater school, and y'all know I love my theater school kids because I think I'd secretly deep down wish I went to theater school and went the logical career path. Don't get me wrong, I love my logical career path in medicine, but deep down I wish I was a theater kid. I wish I went to theater school. But it's just fascinating to hear from people who went that route, and then as she built her career up from there, and then is now doing the hosting thing. And again, we go into detail about so much interesting stuff. Typecasting, hosting, funny stories, and just what being a creative full-time means to her and means to me. Please enjoy Alison Mullings. I just find what's so great about what we do is, like, one, people's stories are awesome. Yes. And two, what is really fun is what comes from the rambles. Because usually some people, like, I don't know, the majority of people I talk to, they ramble and then they apologize for rambling. And I'm like, no, I hope when you hear this back, you go, damn, I sound smart.
Right? Every time they start rambling, I'm like, this is gold. And they're beautiful like, I'm so sorry I rambled. I'm like, this is exactly why I have the podcast, is for rambling.
Exactly. Okay, well, with that being said, tell me your story. How did you get into this crazy business?
Well, I've always wanted to be an actor. So that's how it happened. After like high school, I went to Toronto Film School. Because they were like, it's very hands-on and there's no lectures. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, oh wait, am I allowed to swear?
Hell yeah.
Oh, excellent. Great. I just assume I can wherever I go. So I went to Toronto Film School, had a great time. I probably didn't invest as much as I should have into such an expensive school. Like, all my money went there, not enough of my energy. But went there. And then after film school, I think I sat at home for a long time waiting for things to happen, thinking that that would work. And it did not. So I've done some film, some TV, not a whole lot. I've done a lot of community theater, a lot of unpaid work for me. I love it. It's really been great. So people love to see me act. They just don't like to pay to see me act quite yet, which is fine. And then I started the podcast about like a year and 2 months ago now.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So that's the origin story.
Cheers with our Brandon Bucks. He'll never not be old. When you were young,
yes,
I was supposed to say, like, were you a creative kid? Obviously, you were a creative kid, but was there anyone in your life who, when you said, I want to be an actor, they were like, Alison, that is not a logical career path. Cute, but not a job.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone. So my parents growing up were like, okay, yeah, sure. And they're very supportive now. And I think when I went off to film school, they were like, yeah, okay, we know that this is like what you're going to be doing. So like, go have fun. My dad was always, both my parents, but I remember my dad specifically saying to me, we don't care what you do as long as you're happy.
Oh.
And so if that's like waiting tables for the rest of your life, that's fine as long as you're happy. So there was no pressure to be anything more than I wanted to be. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Excellent. It's the quality of the mic. Yes, but they were always like, I was raised in the church, so they're always like, you're going to do Christian movies. And I was like, yeah, those are worse than our current Canadian movies. So I really don't think that that's the route for me. Thank you. No offense. But I've watched a couple, and they weren't that great. Maybe they've improved. I don't know. But they are always kind of pushing me in that direction. We're like, yeah, okay, just as long as it's not Hollywood. Like, okay. Yeah, because it's just such an evil, scary place. And even when, like, growing up, I wouldn't be able to go to the city for, like, auditions and stuff like that because they're like, you're going to be trafficked. So I didn't get to fully explore acting until I moved to Toronto after high school. Other than community theater, I did a lot of community theater growing up. But yeah, my family's not in the arts at all. A lot of teachers in my family. A lot of teachers. No go for me. I have very limited patience for young minds. Yeah, a lot of teachers. And I have my dad's cousin who's an actor, and I think that's pretty much it for creative careers in my family. What was it about acting when you were young that drew you to it? If there's nobody in your family that you kind of said, ooh, I want to be just like them. I think it was, we're a quoting family. We just always quoted movies that we loved. We did 2 road trips. One summer we went out east to the East Coast, and then 2 summers later we went and drove all the way to the West Coast, and we had no TV, no movies, and so we just kind of quoted scenes back and forth to each other and made each other laugh and had to be creative on those trips. And yeah, I don't remember I remember always wanting to be a performer of sorts. I thought I was going to be a singer when I was really, really young. But not until grade 6, when I was in my first theater play or musical, Anne of Green Gables. Classic Canadian story. And after that, I was like, I love this. This is awesome. So that was my big awakening moment.
And then, so tell me about, and I'm always, I was like, tell me about theater school, because I'm fascinated by people who are like first act actors, right? They went to theater school and they're just continuing to do the thing. Because theater school to me sounds fascinating. And I say that in a neutral way, because I've heard from people that it was the best years of their life. I've heard it is an absolute scam. And I'd love to hear from your standpoint, how was theater school for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard both ends of the spectrum as well for theater school and that kind of thing. For me, I mean, if I could go back and do it all again, I think I would just come to Toronto and start taking acting classes at various studios around the city.
Interesting.
And learn on the go. But I think that's only because, again, I didn't put in as much as I should have. Like, I didn't have the maturity to take it seriously and put in all of my efforts into school and reap the rewards. I was just kind of flying by, coasting by, and doing last minute, procrastinating, all of that. And so I liked it. I'm still in contact with teachers that I've had at that school that I absolutely love and admire, and they're working actors as well, so it's great to learn from them. But yeah, some of it was a waste of time. You'd be in class and just like, why am I here? Or Other people, but you would get that in studio classes too. I've had that where I'm in a class with someone and I'm like, why are we both in this same class? And not to be like, I'm so freaking awesome, but to be like, I know those basics.
Yes.
I understand those basics, and like their first day on the job, and don't, like, they're coming from scratch, and so I've got a little bit of foundation, and so sorry, they're going nuts.
I can't hear it.
All right. I'll trust you. But yeah, I've had the experience of people are just at such a lower level than me in class. And it's frustrating for me because I like to learn from others and the teacher at the same time. And it's one of those things, I don't like being the best in class. Yeah. And by best, I just mean like that foundation or that basis, or like I've learned this much and this is their first day. Like they don't know where eye lines and things like that. So just like the simple things that you do have to learn somewhere. You do have to start somewhere, but I've done that. So I feel like in class, I really like to be in the middle. I love having people that are better than me and doing amazing work out in the industry, that are booking full episodics or reoccurrings and that kind of thing. And then people also that are learning and starting out. But I don't want to be sitting there being like, I already know this and this is hundreds of dollars. So some of it felt like a waste of time. Some of it was really good. I think for me personally, I should have invested more into it. I would have gotten more out of it if I put more into it. It's very much that kind of school. And so I don't think I got my full value out of it. And that's not on the institution. I think that's more so on me. And they were in a transitionary period in time. So they were expanding at the time and getting a new building. And so it wasn't what it is now. I feel like they've grown thanks to my tuition money, and they've gotten much better. All joking. I loved my experience at TFS. I think I think in retrospect, I would have taken classes just around the city because it would have been cheaper.
Yeah. So a question for you, because I've thought about this just with education in general. I mean, I love school so much. I did it for like 30 plus years. But there was always a joke that I remember hearing as I kind of went on in my education, like, oh, like, education is wasted on the young because we don't take advantage of it. We kind of resent it. We don't want to be there. And then as we get older, we're like, damn, I wish I could go back and just like go to the library and like learn things. It's so fun. Like, do you think if you were to say wake up tomorrow morning and it's like, welcome to your first day at TFS, you are who you are now at your age, would it be a completely different thing now that you're like older? What would it look like for you?
Yeah, I think it would be totally different. And I think one of the big things too, now that you say that, is all of the projects, because they had the acting program that would work with the film production program, and that would work with the writing program. So the idea is that all these programs would work together and create things. And the problem, from my perspective, was that I wasn't the hottest girl in class. And so I wasn't getting booked or asked to be in things.
Right.
Or on the flip side, I wasn't putting myself up for those things because I knew or felt like, oh, I'm not hot enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not short enough, because tall girl problem.
Tall girl problems. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so I was like, I'm not the typical short, really pretty and cute. And so they won't have a role for me, or I wouldn't play that role. Why would they cast me? So I think it would be half and half. Half we're all young college students and they're gonna put the hottest people in their films. And well, because that's what we've been raised to do. One, and also just like, if you want to have a relationship with someone, put them in their movie. At that
ding
age.
dong, get that MRS degree while you're at film school. That's that was all they talked about in med school. Get that MRS degree.
I'm here for my MRS degree,
which
MRS is funny degree. Because my partner is from my film school, but
most doctors marry other doctors.
But yeah, it would be a mixed combination of that was how the casting was going, and I didn't put myself out there enough because of that limited belief. So I think now, going back, I would just do it. Like, white men in Hollywood can be tall, fat, and ugly, and you're telling me I can't be all three? What do you... Like, if I was a man, I would already be a leading man. Oh my God. Hit the trifecta.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing, right? Like, so have you noticed, since you've graduated, have you noticed any changes in the industry, or more specifically, anything surprising as you've built your career?
Anything surprising as I have noticed more. Like, I clock a tall girl every time. Every time I search a lot. Every time I'm watching, I am one of those people who's on IMDb as they're watching something all the time. And one thing that I constantly search is people's heights. And so I'm always searching, like, wow, she looks like a tall girl. How tall? She's only 5'6". God damn. Like, I'm always like, I need tall girls in my life. I do think that there's more. I think it's getting better. Mm-hmm. I would still love to see some regular ass looking people on screen. Like, I don't think we see enough of, like, I'm tall, I'm broad, and I've never seen that in like a romantic lead or, my first agent, I was like, I get cast as like the bitch or, the best friend. And it's that I'm either a corporate bitch or the funny best friend, which is fine. Those are fun. But I would just like to see some more variation of roles that normal bodies can play. Yeah. So I think it has been changing. It's definitely been changing. But yeah, I've definitely been tracking a lot of tall girls.
It's funny because it's something I remember having this realization, and I'm blanking on which casting director said it to me, but it was when I did a casting director workshop, like here in Toronto, and they knew me from my self-tapes, as they all do, right? And when I walked in, they went, Jesus fucking Christ, you're tall. And I said, you auditioned me like 50,000 times. And I'm like, hi, I'm Janet McMorty. I'm 5'9". I'm based in Toronto. And they go, yeah, but everyone lies on that.
What?
And I was like,
we've been lying? We're supposed to be lying?
And I was like, that's really interesting. Because I was like, and then we kind of I was laughing about it. And then she goes, I shouldn't out them. They go, I guess you're right. It's the men who lie about being taller and the women lie about being shorter.
Yes.
Because we can't cast you if you're shorter than the lead male. Usually in our case, in Toronto they film a lot of Hallmark. You cannot be shorter than any of the male leads.
Yeah.
100%. So you can't be taller. So you can't be taller than any of the male leads as a female. So as soon as you tell us your height, we're like, nope. Too tall.
Exactly.
I'm like,
right?
What?
Yeah.
And so people lie. And I'm like, but like, it's kind of like lying on a dating app. Like, they're going to walk in and be like, oh shit, you are very tall. We can't apple box you. Like, what are we going to do? We got to apple box the dude. Like, it's a very strange visual industry in that way. I love my height. I never thought it was a detriment in acting.
Yes, I love being tall.
Yes.
I love being able to reach things.
Getting asked by little old ladies, can you grab that soup for me?
All the time in the grocery store. That's how I talk to, and that's my networking, is standing in a grocery store and waiting for someone to ask me to read something.
May I assist you? It's interesting, though, because I think, and I know also when I've seen celebrities around, I'm always surprised at how short they are.
Yes.
Because we're so used to seeing them on such big screens. But then again, I'd never really made the connection until I was in the industry that, oh, you are too tall. Being 5'9". And it's a very interesting thing to have been like, oh, that's immediately going to knock us out of contention.
Yeah.
We don't give a shit about your talent, but that's why we ask for your height in this light. I'm like,
yep, 100%. And it's funny, I also clock the guys that are tall, because I'll be like, oh, I can act with him. Yes. Literally, I was like, 5'11".
I can be on Reacher. Put me on Reacher. That guy's like 7 feet tall.
Hilarious.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So tell me about what made you start your show, your podcast?
Well, I was listening. Do you know that one audition by Alicia Oxy?
Yes, I do. I had to think about that for a second. Yes, I do. Yes.
I listened to her podcast a lot years ago. And I love that she interviewed working actors, like not necessarily A-list celebrities, but people who are making a living doing what they love. And so I listened to that for a while, and then I was just like, I want that, but like in Canada. And so because I love hearing, like you said, I love hearing everybody's stories of like how they became an actor, because everybody's is different, and I love it. Another thing is that I don't think we like celebrate or advertise our own Canadian talent unless you've gone to the States. Like the big running joke that we have in this industry is that you have to go to the States and then come back and then you're desired here. When why don't we just skip that step, especially now, and like just support our own industry and our own talent. And the third thing was like I had so many questions that I wanted to ask. I'm not the best networker, and I wanted to ask all these questions, like how do you get like a visa to work in the States? I don't know that. And how do you get on these shows, and who are the casting directors that you work with? And I want to know about the industry here. Like it's good to know about Hollywood and the industry that happens there, but like I'm in this one here, so I want to learn about the agents and the casting directors and everything that's in Canada, because that's the one I'm currently able to work in. So that was the birth idea of the show.
That's awesome. And like, how's it going? Like, how do you feel? Like, how do you feel it's been going? How do you feel as being a host? It's different than acting for sure. Yeah, what do you like about it? How's it going?
I love it. At first, I mean, I think if you watch my first episodes, I'm very like, and how did you feel about and like very just like trying to be a reporter when I'm not a reporter. And so it's been actually really nice over the episodes, just kind of like opening up and being comfortable being myself just on camera and in front of people I don't know, because I'm the kind of person, I used to be really, really shy. And so I had a rule that I didn't talk to anybody unless they talked to me first. And not because like I think I'm better than you, it's because I'm terrified to actually say hi. And so I then would take a class and I'd be like, okay, this time when I go to this acting class, I'm gonna say hi first, or like this time I'm gonna volunteer to perform first, and slowly just like getting out of my shell. And so I love throughout the process of this of doing the interviews is being more comfortable with myself and showing myself immediately rather than, oh, now you know me, so I can let the crazy out. So it's been really nice that way. It's also been nice. I tell people, if you want to start a project and you're one of those people that need to have everything like perfect before you start a project, look at my beginning episodes. Trash. Like, the conversations are fantastic, but the quality of my camera and the sound, like, everything was just so not great. And so now the camera's better, the sound is better, and it could still get better as we're going, is I'm hoping. But it's really cool to see like how it's getting better. I mean, you think it's this way, but it's this the whole way. And so it's been really nice. I think the hardest part about the progression of like progress doing this is that when I have recorded an episode, I release it like 1 to 2 months later, because I have about 5 to 8 episodes in my pocket at all times.
Yes.
And so I'll go do an interview and be like, this time I said less, or I didn't finish my questions with or, and I'll be like, that was amazing, I'm getting better. And then I'll watch the episode that I'm supposed to release the next day from 2 months ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I am cringy. So it's like, no, remember, yesterday was good, it'll get better. But yeah, making myself cringe on a daily is my new hobby.
Something I've really noticed and appreciate about your interview skills, and I know I definitely look to you for inspiration for sure, is
likewise.
There is such a visible relaxation of your guests as the interview goes on. And I think because you have a lot of actors on your show who are likewise, right, who are fairly new at this, right? And like trying to just do the damn thing. And what's so unique and really cool about your show is like you film basically on a set, right? Like you're there on a set, you're at the camera place, like it's neat. The lights are on you. And so the first little while, the actors, you can tell they're kind of like, oh God, oh God, oh God. But then you put people at such ease, and it's like, I can like clock it. And I'm like, there it is. There's the relaxation. Because of who you just are innately as a human being. People are just very relaxed around you. And I think you just get so much out of people. It's really wonderful to watch.
Thank you so much.
It's
I could
wonderful.
Cry. That was the sweetest thing ever.
You're very, very good at what you do. Like, extremely good.
Thank you. I feel at the beginning of every interview, sorry to interrupt.
No.
Me too. I'll be like stiff. Sometimes I go and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to ask. Am I going to have enough questions for this person? What are we going to talk about? And then we'll start and we'll both be kind of stiff. But then, you feel a moment where everybody just kind of like relaxes into their chair and we're just chatting. But it's very fun to see the beginning of an interview and the moment that like we relax and really get into it. It's really nice.
Totally. Well, do you have any advice for anyone, either like if they were going to come on your show or even more broad, come into this crazy acting industry, especially later in life?
Oh my gosh, yes, come in. It's so much fun.
Come into the pool. We're
fun. For those wanting to be on my show, I know I've heard a lot of people be like, yeah, I want to come on, but like, I'm going to wait till I have something going on. No, stop it. Just come on and chat. Like, I love just talking about, you don't have to have something going on or something happening for us to have a good conversation. I've had people, nothing going on, myself included. I think people should know that I haven't been paid to act in like 5 years. Okay. I've done musical theater, or not musical theater, sorry. not for a long ass time. I've done community theater and have had a great time doing community theater, but no one has paid me to be on set since before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people are like, oh, I haven't worked in 6 months, I'm like, that must be so hard. I got you. Like, you're fine. And so, like, I don't have anything going on. Like, you're good. You're good. And I just like talking about the industry and, you know, how you feel it's going, what you've noticed, you know, what you've learned, things like that. Like, your best successes and your shittiest lows. I want to talk about all of them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you don't have to wait for anything. Just come on, say hi. If you're thinking about getting into acting, like, no hesitation, dive, like, just dive right in. I think it's such an amazing place to be, and it's so therapeutic, and it doesn't necessarily give you as much as you give it sometimes. I think also that is kind of up to you if you want to create your own stuff. Like, if you want to create your own stuff, then you're going to find a lot more joy than just waiting for someone to give you a chance to act. But yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about having to start as a child actor or having to go to film school or theater school, or, you know, just the traditional ways of getting into acting isn't really applicable. So yeah, do it. But yeah, I think I've interviewed people who have gotten into it really later on in life, and they're just having a time. Like, it's so fun to watch, like, people that have retired from working full careers, and they're like, I think acting's fun. I'll try acting. I'm like, that's so cool. That is such a good way to do it financially, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any favorite moments from your time on stage, on set, in class? Any funny stories? And then answer that one, because then my next one is favorite interview stories.
Okay, perfect. So my favorite acting story is I did community theater with Scarborough Players. And the first play that I did was after COVID with them, and I was Lydia in Christmas in Pemberley. And
oh, fun!
Yes. My favorite characters are what I like to describe as confidently wrong. And so I loved playing her. At first I was like, I'm going to play, Jane or her sister, I want to be a leading lady. And then I read the script and I was like, I'm Lydia. So I did that, and as we were doing that, is it president of the theater company? I think president of the theater company. She would make an announcement at the beginning of the show before we go on. That was like telling everybody about the shows that were coming up, and one of them was Educating Rita. And I didn't know anything about Educating Rita at the time, but then I read the script. And I watched the movie with Julie Walters and Michael Caine. And every time she announced it from then on, I was like, starring Alison Mullings. So up until then, I was never cast as a leading lady. And I didn't think I would ever be a leading lady, especially I don't know why especially on stage, but especially on stage. I thought I could be a leading lady in film as in a comedy, but that's as far as my brain could go. And so I rehearsed, I practiced, I auditioned, and I went to the callback, and the girl it was just me and one other girl, and then two of the male characters. This is a 2-part show. And the other girl was fantastic. and she looked the part. Like, I watched the movie and I'm looking at her and I'm like, shit, you guys look oddly the same. And so I was like, honestly, I left that call back being like, if I get it, cool, I'll cry and be great. And if I don't get it, I'm happy to lose to her because she was so good, and I'll cry either way this goes. And then I got an email driving home one day that I got the part, and I was just sobbing. Oh. and I was totally shocked that I got it. But yeah, before that play experience and that whole theater run, I never thought I would be a leading lady because I didn't think anybody could see me as a leading lady. And so that was like life changing for me, because it was just so affirming that like I could do it. And it was a two-handed show. Like, it was just me and one other guy. So like, to be a lead in a two-handed show is just amazing, and it will always be a highlight of my career.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. I like got little goosebumps. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And any favorite or funny stories from your interview career, your hosting career?
From my hosting career. Oh, it's so hard for the hosting career because everybody's like, what's your favorite interview? And I'm like, but I like each one.
How are you supposed to pick? It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah.
But like, actually, not like exactly. We all have favorite children, apparently. I don't know. But like, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's really hard. And it's funny. One of the things that I've learned is even the interviews where I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is even going to be a great conversation. I've definitely had those thoughts. I don't know about you. I'm just like, this guest is, I don't know how this is going to go. I think this is going to be incredibly boring. We're going to be two people just staring at each other because we have nothing to talk about. And then we'll go home. And so I've gone into the studio thinking, crap, I don't even think this is going to be great. And they've been amazing. And I come back and I leave and I'm like, that was actually so fun and so good. I'm so glad I didn't cancel. I'm just kidding. I haven't canceled on anybody on purpose yet. But yeah, I just every time, like, even I'll do 2 interviews a day. And there was one day I remember I wasn't very excited for the first one, but I was super excited for the second one because it was somebody that I had wanted to meet and talk to for a while. And at the end of the day, I left, and the first one was my favorite interview of the day. And I was like, it's such a lovely surprise leaving being like, wow, that was fantastic, and I didn't think it would be. Like, it's so bad to say, but it's been really nice being pleasantly surprised by all my guests, even when I didn't think I'd be able to relate to them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you have anything you are looking forward to coming up, or anything you want to promote, or anything you're excited about? And while we have 40 centimeters of snow on the ground.
Yeah, I'm excited for spring. Just that the show is ongoing. I release an episode every single Thursday, and now I release a virtual interview episode every single Tuesday.
Damn, girl.
Yeah, I know. It just happened organically, really, of somebody wanted to be on the podcast while they were here promoting a movie for their festival. It's Hunting Matthew Nichols. I posted about today. And we couldn't get our schedules to line up to do an in-person interview. So they're like, will you do virtual? And I've always been like, I prefer in person. But I was like, you know what? I'll try virtual. We'll see how it goes. And it was actually pretty good. And shout out Riverside. If you'd like to sponsor me, that'd be fantastic. Right. But Riverside has been like super easy to use, and like gives you all your show notes and chapters. What? I love that about Riverside. I've been doing those manually this whole time.
Girl.
Yeah, I'm just like, and bookmark. But yeah, it's been really good. And so episodes coming out every Tuesday now. And I think I've got 3 or 4 interviews in the bag for that too, which is really exciting that's continuing to happen. Oh, one conversation. Actually, I will tell the story. One conversation that I was so pleasant is it was a conversation with a woman who's like a creativity coach, essentially. And so she works with people who are actors, painters, writers, etc., and with their career. And she was based in Australia. And so I was like, hey, I do this podcast. I'd love to talk to you. She's like, I'm in Australia, so I don't know if I qualify for your Canadian theme, but I'd love to talk. And I was like, it's creativity, it counts. Yeah. And so I talked to her, but when I scheduled the virtual chat to talk to her, the week before, I had just like a big, bad week of shit. And it was just like work was crap because I still have a day job because remember, nobody pays me to act. And
I'm with you.
Right. And so work was bad and just everything was falling apart. I didn't realize that I was falling into the winter blues, but it just backhanded me across the face. And I was crying in my car. And I actually taped a little monologue on my car crying where I was like, it's just a future me. It was going to be like, I was going to post it immediately and it was, but then I was like, you know what? No, this is just a future me for when I'm ungrateful on set, if that ever happens. So I was just like in tears being like, if you're on set right now, you better be fucking thankful because I would kill to be on set right now. Because it's such a curse being put on this planet to do like one thing. Like I don't have many other skills. I did not go to school for anything other than this. And no one will pay me to do it. And you have to pay to be on this planet. It's the worst curse, but like, yeah, I love it so much. So it sucks. So I kept that little video for later. So that was that week. This is the tangent part we're talking about. So that was that week. And then I had the conversation with her and she was talking about instead of like spiraling down, she gets her creatives to spiral up. And so like your creative career, you and your creative career here, and you just kind of like push the ball and it goes like wider and wider and wider and wider. And so sometimes when in your career you have success where it like coils up and you just kind of like shoot up really fast. And sometimes you're pushing it and it doesn't feel like you're moving anywhere because you're going in a circle, but it's getting wider and wider and it's going up. And it was just such a needed conversation. And so it was just perfect conversation at the perfect time. And instantly healed. Like I was fine after that. It was fantastic. So yeah, that was a really good moment for me.
That's amazing.
Don't know how that'll translate for everyone in the podcast, but
I was like, I cannot wait to hear this. This sounds amazing. I'm like, I need this right now.
Yeah, it was so good. I can't wait to post it. It was so needed. So needed.
So
and
cool.
Do you find that? Do you have that when you interview people that a theme will be happening in your life and then they'll bring it up and start talking about it and you're like, yes.
Yep. And it can be something as simple as like my last guest, we were talking about typecasting. Like it just got brought up. Like he's a Latinx individual and he's like, will no longer go out for criminals. I've told my agent I don't want to be a criminal anymore. And it's funny, and I have now just told my agent I'm no longer going out for like specific things because I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't think it's worth my time, energy, and money. And he was saying the same thing. It's not worth my time, energy, and money. And if my agent's like, well, then there's no roles for you. And he's like, fine. Then there's no roles for me. But I don't want to be a criminal. Like, I don't want to be the drug dealer. I don't want to be like the criminal because they're just typecasting. And it had just happened in my, like, typing out to my agent being like, I no longer want to go out for, you know, all ethnicity, all gender, 30 to 40s, one-liner roles. And I'm not saying I'm above that. I am not. But I just don't want to anymore. I'm sick and tired of filling the actor quota when I know I'm not going to get this part. It's just not where I want to spend my time, energy, and money right now. I'm so happy that other people are. I used to love it. Now I don't want to. There's other things I want to do with my career. Nice. But yeah, it was interesting how it just like happened at the same time. I was like, oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. Lots of spooky little moments like that where you're like, I love it.
And I think it's cool because, there's people always ask me, and I'm sure they ask you as well too, like, oh, like, why do you do this podcast? Like, what do you like that's, you know, I'm like, I get, they're like, oh, you're like promoting so many people. That's so great. I'm like, do you have any idea how much I get out of this podcast? I basically went to theater school listening to these people talk about it, like you were saying before, right? Like, from simple things like, how do I do a proper full body slate? I had one actor be like, I have figured out the hack, and I'm like, tell me, let's record it. It's amazing. Like, I get so much out of talking to people.
Yeah, 100%. Even when I'm anxious and I'm like, oh, is this conversation going to go well? I always leave on cloud nine so energized and happy that I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, it is the current love of my life.
I love that.
Doing this show, yeah.
Do you have any final words of wisdom or advice?
Final words of wisdom or advice. I think for me right now, I'm learning, and so I'm sure somebody else is also learning, is to, like a reoccurring theme actually also with all these interviews is not waiting for permission and just doing the project, whether it has funding or not. Like in the interview that I released today, they started filming and they only had half their budget, and they made it happen. They made it work. And so I think a lot of times you hear people who've done the thing, and they're like, just start. Everything will fall together. Everything just aligns. All the people will come and the money will come and it'll happen. And you're sitting there like, yeah, okay. Right. Like, I don't believe it, but it's kind of true. And so, yeah, just start. Like, if I didn't start my podcast with the crappy camera that I had and just the friends around me, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I have. Like, I would have never started, first of all, because I would have liked to start when it was perfect, and that doesn't happen. But if I didn't start, I wouldn't have met my current videographer, who jumped on board because he saw an episode and went, "This is shit. Please let me help you."
Oh my God.
And so I was like, okay, yes, please. And so I wouldn't have connected and gotten better. I probably would have just been still saving for a camera. The 3-camera setup that I dreamt of. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think not waiting for permission, just starting wherever you're at.
I think what's really cool about what you were just saying is, again, about that, like, the networking piece of it, like how you went from, like, I cautioned the word introversion because, like, you are energized by people, but
I'm like selectively
ambiverted.
Yes,
but exactly. Like building that network of humans around you, being like, let me help you with this and let's push the ball up. Very cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
100%.
I'll put in the show notes below a link to Creative Full Time.
Everyone
watch it. It's fabulous. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Alison, for being my guest this week. I'm also going to shout out the fact that I am very honored to be on her show. I believe my date, sorry, Alison, is March 3rd. Yes, I will be on her show on March 3rd. I'm very excited. I will promote the heck out of it because her show is just absolutely fantastic. Again, link is in the show notes below. Definitely check it out. Try and consume as much acting, creative content as you can in this crazy industry. I don't know where you are in the world listening to this, but right now it is February 18th in Toronto. We have about 50 centimeters of snow on the ground, and y'all, it is bleak. So consume artistic content, consume stories of people who are doing the damn thing, and definitely take a listen to Alison's podcast, Creative Full Time. And I hope you all will tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye!